In the headlines, an EU-funded validation training workshop for the agriculture sector, the private sector to play a greater role in the development of a TVET policy and strategic plan for the country, and new U.S. ambassador to Dominica promises deeper cooperation between the two countries. I am Andrea V with the Channel 5 News. Details after this. Thank you for staying with us. A validation and training workshop funded by the European Union got underway in Dominica on Thursday.
The workshop focused on the development of costs and returns of production for selected crops and livestock in Dominica's agriculture sector. The Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute, CADI, is the implementing body for this project.
We've not been able to strengthen the link between research and trade in the aggressive and effective way that it should be developed. We know research is important, and CARDI has been the vanguard in that process. We know that as a consequence of the research, there have been adjustments in production and productivity. But we also know that we would like to tie this thing into trade intra-regionally and overseas.
Wilson says when the connection between research and trade occurs, results will be evident by an improvement in the Caribbean's economy.
So this exercise looks at the commodities along the value chain, the elements along the value chain, in such a way that we understand that having done the research and having brought about adjustments to productivity and trade, that we have to do things to make us produce with productivity and to have this thing marketed as effectively as possible.
The Banana Accompanying Measures BAM program and National Authorizing Office are also partners in this project.
In a nutshell, the BAM seeks to address the underlying weaknesses of the agricultural sector relating to commercial competitiveness, low productivity, through various interventions. Consequently, this study falls under the component of BAM which seeks to enhance agriculture information systems and has as its specific purposes 4 key areas. 1, to develop production manuals for the selected key crops and livestock. 2, the development of cost and returns of production for selected crops and livestock. 3, development of evaluation tools for assessing competitiveness of priority commodities. And 4, the training of government officers in the conduct of cost and returns of production surveys and analyses.
The key commodities and livestock falling under this project include citrus, pineapple, cocoa, passion fruit, coffee, yam, dashins, plantain, bananas, sheep and goats.
An industry linkage forum next week will position the private sector to play a greater role in the development of a TVET policy and strategic plan for the country. The Ministry of Education started making moves towards implementation of technical and vocational education and training TVET in 2010 with the inauguration of a TVET Council. The Industry Linkage Forum is the first major public event to be hosted by the Dominica TVET Council. It will be held on March 9th and 10th at the Fort Young Hotel.
There will be a series of discussions on a variety of issues related to the development of TVET. The Council is in the process right now of proposing a national TVET policy and a national TVET strategic plan. The discussions will center around a variety of issues that will inform that discussion on how we progress, how we move forward with the development of the policy, the national policy on TVET.
The event is receiving support from the CARICOM Education for Employment project.
CARICOM, under its Education for Employment project and the CTCP project, has selected to come to Dominica to update us on the progress that has been made in the implementation of the TVET agenda in the region. TVET is seen by CARICOM as a vehicle for implementing the CSME to facilitate the free movement of skills and of people. And the CVQ, the Caribbean Vocational Qualification, is seen as the skills passport, as it were, which would permit fluid and easy movement of skills around the region. So the forum will first of all host guests of CARICOM and of the Canadian High Commission, who are the funders of the project.
Catholic Bishop, His Lordship Gabriel Malzer, has condemned any cover-up related to the sexual abuse of minors, calling for society to do more than just pay lip service to the social ill. Idona John Baptist explains.
Channel 5 News spoke to Bishop Malzer in the context of a meeting this week between himself and members of the NGO Coalition on Child Welfare. Head of the NGO Coalition, Philip Carlisle, gave good ratings coming out of Monday's meeting, saying he was pleased with Bishop Malzer's reception. Malzer says he commends the efforts of the organization, adding that the entire public should take up the issue as a responsibility.
It is something that, as we know, is rampant in our society. We as a country, we need to be serious about it and don't, render lip service about the whole thing. We know that in our society, we very often try to cover up things and try to avoid facing them when we know what is going on. And I've said on many occasions that it depends on who is involved, and we try to cover up, and sometimes money's gone to the table in order to hush things out.
The religious leader says he is concerned about the treatment of victims in these matters, since minors are not able to take a decision on their own.
I remember when the church a couple of years ago was dealing with an issue that involved someone within the church. I came under serious pressure because of the opinions out there as to what I should do and what I should not do. And at the same time, you had victims out there who were suffering. And as if it was being portrayed as if the victims were responsible, that they were looking for it or whatever. Many comments were made. I think we need to care for our children a little more seriously.
The NGO Coalition for Child Welfare has planned to develop institutions that can properly respond to victims of sexual abuse, as it considers a rise in such incidents. 15 registered groups are members of the organization, and according to its chairman, Philip Carlisle, other NGOs are expressing interest in joining the movement. The NGO has been meeting with law enforcement and other parties since allegations of inappropriate conduct by 3 high-ranking men against an underage girl emerged.
As these NGOs come on board and we begin to look at the areas of ills in our society and how children are abused and etc., that we hope out of in the coming months and years that we'll be able to not only be an advocacy group, but a group that will also assist in finding ways or helping other NGOs, develop institutions that can assist these hurting or persons who are damaged. And numerous cases that we are aware of, all right, that we are not prepared now to bring into the public domain. But I hope that the authorities will be able to address those issues.
Carlisle says the organization has a number of areas covered, including the schools.
Within the NGO, there are registered groups who deal directly with the schools. We want to ensure that when cases are referred, that they are dealt with. As long as the evidence is there, we want to be able to track them, keep an update of what's going on. This situation or these situations have been confronting us for years, but there's an upsurge now. It's getting worse, and we have children to protect.
Prime Minister Skerrit says Dominicans have good reason to be proud of their country, to walk tall and hold their heads high.
Addressing a welcome rally at Canefield Airport Tuesday, Mr. Skerrit said his recognition by a leading university in India is testament to the fact that Dominica is respected and admired by many in the international community. During his recent trip to India, the Prime Minister was awarded an honorary degree from the lovely professional university.
This country is revered by many. This award bears the name Roosevelt Skerrit, but it is in honor of the people of the Commonwealth of Dominica. I don't care what you call me tomorrow. Call me anything you like. But if I had to express my preference, I would ask you to call me simply Skerrit. That's who I am, and that's who the people of Dominica love.
Mr. Skerrit made reference to his critics and those, he says, who do not speak well of the country.
They make the tearing down of Dominica their favorite pastime. I shall continue to make the development of this country my primary focus and my principal endeavor. Notwithstanding the nasty, salacious articles that others write and circulate about Roosevelt Skerrit and the government of Dominica, this country is respected far and wide. People admire our resilience. They admire our warmth. They speak highly of our embrace of culture and the warmth that we radiate to visitors. They like Dominica under the Dominica Labour Party.
This is the Channel 5 News. More news after the break. Welcome back. Multi-level cooperation between Dominica and the United States expected to strengthen.
On Wednesday, Prime Minister Skerrit welcomed the newly appointed U.S. ambassador to Dominica. This is her first visit here as chief of the U.S. mission to Barbados, the Eastern Caribbean, and the OECS.
Well, welcome to the Caribbean. We'd like to welcome you on your sojourn here. Whatever we can do to cause your sojourn to be successful, we're prepared to work with you in a mutual interest. We've had a long-standing relationship with the United States, spanning several decades. We are allies in the fight against drug trafficking in particular. It is something that Dominica stand in total solidarity with the United States. We're working with your agencies at all levels in the various areas of cooperation. The U.S. is instrumental in the provision of support, material support, training. You are one of our, well, the biggest sponsor of training programs for the police by far, and that is very useful in the in equipping the police officers with new skills, new techniques in fighting an increasingly challenging issue of drug trafficking. So we'd like to thank you for that, and rest assured that we look forward to the continued cooperation.
My predecessor had a very good and warm relationship with the government of Dominica, and I hope to follow in his footsteps. I would certainly like to build on the relationship we have and to strengthen it in various areas.
The U.S. ambassador was also expected to meet with National Security Minister Reuben Blackmore to discuss a number of issues, including the Coast Guard base for the North.
Leader of the opposition United Workers' Party, Lennox Linton, is calling for parliamentarians, law enforcement officials, the church and civil society to collaborate on more effective ways of defeating the scourge of child sexual abuse.
The opposition leader made the call in a statement issued this week in which he condemns what he says is the continuing sexual atrocities and brutal assaults on Dominica's children. His statement comes in response to widespread concerns about alleged inappropriate behavior by 3 adults believed to be holding positions of trust and influence. Mr. Linton has urged law enforcement authorities to ensure that all reports of abuse of minors in particular are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. He insists that those involved must be brought to justice. The parliamentary representative for Soufrière constituency, Ian Pinard, released a statement announcing his resignation as a member of cabinet. Mr. Pinard made reference to allegations of serious inappropriate behavior which he said had been made against him in the media. He said he felt that he had a moral responsibility to address the public on the issue, and his resignation would allow him to more appropriately address the allegations against him. He has said also that he was confident there would be a successful conclusion of this matter.
New president of the Dominica Cancer Society plans to emphasize public education during her tenure.
Diana Gittins took up the post of president of the society in February.
So as you are aware, we've been doing quite a bit of fundraising, and our focus has been on treatment. We've tried to help persons access care through fundraising. We've tried to identify places that they can go for treatment and these kinds of things. One thing that we have not been doing too much of is education and awareness. We want people to know that before we can even treat cancer, maybe we can try to prevent it. And so we would like to focus on that this year. So we probably would like to partner with private and public sector so that we can be able to push more the awareness and advocacy, go to the schools, have little competitions and things like that. And that's what we have planned, at least I have planned for the upcoming year.
Gittins also hopes that modifications will be made to the Society's constitution to reflect the changing times.
We've been around from the 90s, and our constitution has been around since then. And one thing that we realize that we have to do is evaluate if the constitution that we currently have, if it's still relevant for the challenges that we have. And so that in itself is a challenge, because we've been working so hard to do fundraising and all this that we have kind of neglected. We've seen the need, but we just haven't had the manpower. And as it relates to the constitution being more applicable to our current situation, we'd also like to review it to make it more applicable, and for that we would need information, because if we're going to advocate, let's say we're going to modify our constitution and have more advocacy in there, but what do we advocate for? So we would need more information, whether it's from information we collect ourselves or information that's collected within the health sector. We would need more information so that we can make more informed choices, so we can update our constitution to suit the needs.
She says the creation and development of a cancer registry remains high on the Society's agenda. The rest of the Cancer Society executive reads Kathleen Cornelius, Vice President, and immediate past President Nadia Riviere, Secretary, Anna-Marie George, Treasurer, Delia Coffee Weeks, PRO, and Tina Alexander and Vina Roy, Executive Members.
One young woman is playing her part to help to reduce lower limb amputations on island. That was the aim of a 3.5-year course recently completed by Tahira Blanchard. Blanchard, who is now certified in sclerotherapy and the treatment of wounds and edemas, says she has a passion for promoting and encouraging healthy living in Dominica.
A lot of people have been having amputations, especially lower limb amputations, due to things like diabetic ulcers and leg ulcers and wounds. Also, with having the Healthy Living Wellness Center, I actually see quite a lot of clients who come in with different forms of lymphatic circulation issues. As a result, I got interested in, being properly qualified and trained that I can assist in that area. So that was the main reason, so that at least I can see that there are less people going to be amputated. If they come, I can now provide effective therapies, for people to ensure that they can have less occurrences of, losing their toes or losing a limb and so on, because it really and truly can be avoided with proper care.
Blanchard says that spider veins is particularly problematic among women.
I got qualified, as I mentioned, in sclerotherapy, and that is a procedure where I can actually begin to treat what we call spider veins here in Dominica. So I know a lot of people, especially women, because women are the ones that have a higher risk of that condition. I mean, there are men who get it, but it's very few. In terms of the ones that I would be treating with the sclerotherapy, it's more or less cosmetic. So I mean, it's just these veins that you get a lot of times because of prolonged standing.
Blanchard is hoping that other Dominicans will take proactive steps in combating health problems in the country.
I'm hoping that there can be other people in Dominica that can, listen to the news in a positive way when they hear that we have, concerns and issues affecting our country, that instead of criticizing our healthcare system, that they go out, they educate themselves and they qualify themselves to come and be part of the solution.
And owner of Rona's Barbecue in Canefield is trying to make sense of some strange sightings around her premises of late. Ms. Copel says she has seen some superstitious packages in the past and has kept silent, but she says it is getting to a point now where she has no choice but to speak out.
My mom passed on the 27th. The week after Carnival, I found some plastic bag with some different medication in it in my gate. I paid it no mind. I called the priests and pastors. They came and we did away with it. The funeral went through. Today is the third We woke up this morning, there was nothing in my yard. My workers came to work, they passed through the main gate. Then one of my workers left and he went to town. When he came back, he called me, I was inside. What is this in front of the gate? I said, I do not know. I didn't put anything in front of the gate. Did somebody left a message in front of the gate, a plastic or something? He said, no, come and see. So I came outside and here it is, a circle in charcoal with 3 crosses and a plastic container, and in that plastic container has some little different color bags and a black bag with grass to make it look like a bin, like a garbage bin. So I'm saying, and that happened in broad day, sun coming up. The person didn't wait for night time or whatever. There are persons working across the road, there are persons going to Miniers. However, the vehicle stopped by the road, and apparently they got the opportunity for them to do what they have to do, because when I investigated the people across the road, they said there was a vehicle standing there for a while. I haven't done anything to anybody. Right after I gave the meal to the people for after Erica, I found little scraps of money, 10 cents, 5 cents, 25 cents, 10 cents, 25 cents. However, that was placed there while my business was open. I'm not doing anybody harm. I'm not taking bread from anybody. I'm not interfering in anybody's life. That has been going on for a very, very long time. I never came to the media. I am saying to persons that if you want to do something to better yourself and stop bringing down one another.
That's news. Sports highlights next with Kenny Williams.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Sports Report. First up in sports. In Wednesday's version of the competition, 3 records were broken in the under-18 girls shot put, under-18 boys javelin and the under-21 girls javelin. Naomi Scotland of NECS set the record in the under-18 girls shot put at 11.71 meters. Also from NECS was Keon Burton, who pushed the under-18 boys javelin record to 59.67 meters. Finally, Shanae Angol of the Dominica State College set the under-21 girls javelin record at 45.39 meters, the second place contender at 27.39 meters. On Wednesday, the male teams of the Dominica Grammar School, Northeast Comprehensive and Isaiah Thomas Secondary were in 1st, 2nd and 3rd place with 71, 62 and 39 points respectively. In the female classes, DGS was 1st with 57 points, NECS closely contended with 55 points, while Dominica State College was in 3rd with 45. In cricket, reports from cricketbuzz.com indicate that West Indies all-rounder Andre Russell could be suspended for 24 months for violating the anti-doping whereabouts code according to the Jamaica Anti-Doping Commission. The member of the West Indies World T20 squad has failed to appear for 3 drug tests in the last 12 months, which equates to a failed test under doping laws. According to the Anti-Doping Commission rules, athletes must make their whereabouts known to local anti-doping agencies in order to conduct the necessary tests. Russell's good show in the 2015-2016 Big Bash and Pakistan Super League has made him one of the key members in the West Indian side for the upcoming T20 in India. With Sunil Narine correcting his bowling action, Kyron Pollard recovering from knee injury and Darren Bravo concentrating on Test cricket, having pulled out of the World Cup squad, Russell's suspension could prove to be a major dent in the West Indies World T20 hopes. Still in cricket, just a reminder that West Indies will be having their tour of the United Arab Emirates when they play against Wickshire on Friday. The team will be using that match to prepare for their upcoming T20 in India beginning next week. Head coach of the West Indies team, Phil Simmons, says he is hoping for improved performance from the players at Wickshire.
Again, we're just looking to turn things up a little bit more. You know, I had 1% every game, and there's few things we didn't do well. I think we still need to make sure that we in the field, that we getting to the ball and we hitting stumps and things like that. We dropped a few catches again today, so I know the lights here are not the best, but we've got to make sure that we're doing everything right by the time we leave here. So the 2 warm-up games in India are just to sharpen up for the tournament. So I think Warwickshire is for us to get a little bit sharper and a little bit sharper in the 2 games.
In T20 cricket, The West Indies women team will play their first T20 match against South Africa on Friday. Having 2 wins and 1 loss in the ODI format against South Africa, the West Indies will be hoping for some good performance in the T20 series. West Indies women lost their 3rd ODI against South Africa women by 35 runs on Monday. That's all the sports for now. I'm Kenny Williams. Join us again next time.
Your weather report is next.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's weather broadcast. I am your presenter, Annie Carrette Joseph. Weak and stable conditions continued to produce mostly cloudy skies across the northern portion of the island chain today. Visible satellite imagery showed mostly low-level clouds across the area. Radar imagery indicated some scattered showers across the Lesser Antilles. Conditions for tonight, partly cloudy to cloudy with some scattered showers. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies with some showers. Sea conditions, slight to moderate in open water with waves peaking near 5 feet. The next 3 days, weak and stable conditions will maintain partly cloudy to cloudy skies with some scattered showers through to mid-Sunday. Across the region, weak unstable conditions will maintain partly cloudy to cloudy skies with some showers across most of the island chain. However, fair to partly cloudy skies can be expected across the extreme southern portion. Taking a look at our seasonal forecast for the period March to May. Rainfall totals can be expected to be below to normal up to April. However, a transition to above to normal can be expected thereafter. Temperatures are expected to continue to be above to normal. Drought conditions are expected to continue up to May. On the international scene, overcast skies can be expected in New York, cloudy skies in Miami, and generally fair weather in London, Caracas, and Beijing. The sun will rise tomorrow at 6:20 a.m. and set at 6:14 p.m. For updated information, visit our website at weather.gov.dm or call the weather hotline at 447-5555. Thank you for viewing and join us next time. Good night.
To end the news, the headlines again. An EU-funded validation training workshop for the agriculture sector. A private sector to play a greater role in the development of TVET policy and strategic plan for the country. And new U.S. ambassador to Dominica promises deeper cooperation between the two countries. Feel free to contact us at news@MarpinNewsMarch3rd2k16. You can also catch our past newscasts on our YouTube page. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Lee. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.